This is Jonathan Holloway. This is Demetri Martin. We both have brown hair. Mine has a little more gray in it. Not much more, actually. We are men. We are humans. I am a tall man. He is a little less tall. We are still both humans. Height does not correlate directly with fame or a sense of humor. I do not know how being a hoonie correlates at all to either of those things. I feel small. I will sit down. You will clap. We will talk.
Okay. First, thank you. Thank you to you, sir. Thank you to Colleen.
He doesn't know my name. It's Jonathan.
No, that's all. I don't know if it's weird for an alumnus to say astronauts. I don't know what the protocol is a lot better than Colleen was here when I was in Calhoun. I'd like to say hi to Colleen. This right now. I was here when I was in Calhoun, so I myself. Spent a lot of time in this dining hall. Thanks to all you guys for coming out. It's funny, I was running over here. I did a sound check over at the Schubert Theater. So it's weird. And I was running a little late and I was running over, and it reminded me I had an art history class when I was here. And the exam, I overslept. I don't know if anybody gets overslept yet for an exam. I set my alarm, I think I set it to PM by mistake instead of AM. So I'm going to put this down, it's just weird, it's blocking, is that okay?
Yeah.
It's just kind of the mic's oh, that's for questions, I guess. That's right. Well, people can come around and they can ask people are interested. Devil or an angel over our shoulder. Questions, so, anyway, I overslept for the exam, and it was running for the exam. So, I was doubly worried because they show slides, and you have to answer questions about the slides, so if you're not there to see the slides, you're going to get all those questions wrong unless you're very, very good at guessing. But you're not getting it. So, I was freaking out. I woke up, I realized I looked at the clock and I had that terrible moment of dread. So I said, I'm going to hurry up. Put on whatever clothes, you know how it is. I could have been sleeping in them or not, I don't know. So, pajamas, sweats, whatever else. I said, put my clothes on. And I started running to the exam. But I was so out of shape that I could only run about a block at a time. That's kind of like a fast walk. It was like my concern for my health was totally outweighing any like worry about my grade. I thought I was going to have like an asthma attack. Anyway, 16 years later, I totally flashed in my head. I was running over here. You guys were waiting. I was late. It was just like running to an exam on campus. It was like the last time I was running around here like that. When I did that. But I got there and the professor was smart and the slides were in the middle of the test. So it was cool. So I was late, but I still got to see the slides. Great, that's a great story about that. Like that at Yale. That's what you guys want to hear about. How I almost did very poorly in my classes. I did a master's P once before in the house over there. So both times I got to come to Calhoun. I'm loyal to Calhoun. And I was randomly placed in the Calhoun. I had no relatives or anything, so I got to reap the benefits. The year I came, they had just done a renovation. There's another one, but we had a new TV room and everything, and it was a big deal. We were very fortunate. To give you a little sense of what my time at Yale was like, it was often a battle in the TV room between watching college basketball and 90210. So it's kind of a long time ago. Other than that, I don't have a presentation prepared so much as I'm happy to talk about anything anybody wants to talk about and guide the conversation that way. I can also make up a presentation on any topic that might be relevant. Generally, the way Master's Tea goes, people come and discuss their work, something they've done, maybe that's valuable since they went to college. Okay, so we're finished. I'll see you guys. So I came here, I graduated in 95, so I came here 4 years before that, and I'm from New Jersey, from Calhoun. Yeah! Okay, a little more than New Jersey deserves, but I appreciate it. Jersey Shore now, at least everybody else knows what we're dealing with. That's where I'm from right now. So, yeah, I came here and I thought I was going to be a lawyer. I think since maybe 7th grade, my goal was lawyer. I thought, and I remember saying corporate lawyer. I didn't know that wasn't sounding good though. It sounded a little better than just lawyer. You know, corporate lawyer sounds like, yeah, I think that's probably a better version. So I was set from, I think, 7th grade. And I took my tests in high school, did all my stuff. I was excited I got into Yale, it was my long shot, I got to come here. And then the whole time I was set. As far as I knew, what do you do? I'm going to law school, I'm going to be a lawyer, corporate lawyer. Oh yeah, and I changed my major about 11 times, I think. You guys, shopping period is still part of the program? Yeah. So like many of you probably, I had friends during shopping period. I'd say to them, "You going to that class? Do me a favor, can you grab me a syllabus?" And then I would often not even go to all the classes, you know, and just collect various, whatever the plural is, I never remember, syllabuses, like all over the floor, and then try to figure out, okay, how do I have no exams? Also no papers. Sociology, okay, I'm listening. Whatever it was, I was trying to figure out, how do I just hang out the most? How do I do these academic work? It's happy to be here, but I didn't have any burning desire maybe to know that many things as much as and experience things, you know? So I changed my major. The first grade professor I had in psychology, I was a psychology major. The first grade history professor I had was a history major. The first grade, and then I was wanted to be a special division major. I was going to major in statistics for some reason. I don't know. I guess the average of my professors was great. So I settled on history eventually because that's where I had the most credit so far. And I thought that would still work for law school. Took my LSATs and I went to law school right out of college, right on the treadmill. Everything pretty much going to plan. Went to New York. And then about a month into law school, I realized, uh-oh, this sucks. I'm bored. This is not for me. So the first month of law school, I thought, wow, this is so interesting. We read the case book and we extrapolate the issues, the rules, we apply some analysis, argue both sides, we draw a conclusion. We're talking about theory and justice and truth and morality and all these, you know, ethical questions. I thought, wow, this is great. And then it was just that again, and then that again, and then over and over and over again. And I realized that I had made a huge mistake, but I didn't know what to do. So I did a White House internship the summer after my first year of law school. And that was in the Clinton White House. I worked in the Domestic Policy Council, and I got there, and again, it just wasn't for me. It was a different kind of go-gettery, blue blazer, kind of shine for your. That's not the kind of. This is more like corn flour though. I'm talking about a navy. Throw it under the bus. It's terrible. No, but it was kind of a different culture again, where I started to become more and more honest with myself. I guess is the point. It's funny. The further I got from college, the more I was forced to be just kind of brutally honest with what I wanted out of my life. And in college, it's a perfect opportunity to do that, but there were here plenty of distractions for me, so I didn't really have to do that kind of soul searching anyway. I was doing other stuff and trying to. I was in the Anti-Gravity Society. Perfect response. Very passionate men. And a chorus of awkward silence. So I was doing that. I was hanging out with my friends. I was on YCC. I was on the Calhoun committee. So I was involved. I tried to do a lot of stuff. I started a Family Feud is one thing we did, where I made questionnaires that we handed out to everybody in Calhoun. And you had to answer the questions, and then my roommates and I, we tabulated all the answers, and then we had like a party where we did Family Feud. People could play. I don't know how it was, but they answered, it was just like Family Feud. So really crazy. We were a crazy party. Filing out, like, I gotta go. I'm still sitting on any other class. So yeah, I'm just trying to give you a little smattering of things real stuff. Long story short, I had a great time here. This was a big goal for me. I felt like I was on the right track in life. Law school was a similar one for me. But when I got to that one, I realized I made a mistake. And so after that was for me where I think I really started to ask bigger questions about what I wanted out of life and even day-to-day life, like what was inspiring to me, what engaged me, and those kinds of things. And that led me to dropping out and becoming a temp. And I got to answer phones all over Manhattan. I got to wear a short-sleeve shirt with a tie. You got long sleeves on. See, this is what I'm talking about. I got to do a lot of those kinds of things where my idea of myself, or the character of Demetri that I had kind of formulated very carefully all the way into Yale and through Yale, was really being challenged. You know what I mean? So I had this idea of myself that I'm some sort of high achiever, I'm a smart person, and this and that. And at the same time, the reality of myself was I'm answering phones for people, I'm getting lunch for people, I'm getting coffee for people, I'm doing those kinds of things. And doing open mics, and I started to understand at that point. And that was a way for me to pay my bills. So I think I came into Yale thinking I'm going to have this big career, and I left Yale just feeling like I need to find a job so I can just pay my rent. You know what I mean? Just so I can eat and support. Now it's going to be a longer journey probably. I think it's a stand-up or comedy or something that's very non-linear, where I didn't know what was going to do. And then one thing led to another, and eventually I ended up right back at Yale in the dining hall. So along the way I started doing stand-up. I worked at Conan for a little while. When he was in New York, I worked at The Daily Show. I had my own show for a short time on Comedy Central, and I've written a couple movies that have not been produced yet. I wrote a book, and that's part of why I'm touring now, because the book comes out on Monday. Oh, you have it. So it came out, they have it here. It came out. Great, cool. So that's the book I wrote, and it's short stories and essays and drawings and things like that. So now in my late 30s, I'm starting to catch up to maybe what took me a little while to figure out after I graduated from Yale and dropped out of law school. So that's kind of a short bio that I think is relevant to maybe what we can talk about here. If there's any way you want to steer me or anything else you think I should hit on, I'm happy to do that.
Well, I moved the microphone away from your angels or devil's side. I will. No, I got it. I'll move this. I'll take her book so you can sign it.
Okay.
Assuming she wants it signed. And I've got pen right here.
I think you should sign it just to make up.
You can walk up there and tell me how you want to sign it. Who's going to ask the first question? See, if you buy a book, the lesson is here. If you buy a book, then you, see, there's more books. Just trying to make an example, positive example, to increase literacy awareness. Very serious problem, something that really. So who's going to be that brave soul to? Okay, I'll be here first, and you second. Who's going to be the third person in the queue? Oh, wait. Okay. So it's the longest signature in the history of book signing. Oh, really?
Okay. Let's workshop this. Okay.
Questions 1, 2, and then 3, and then the floor is just wide open at that point.
Yeah, so like I've seen
Stand
like.
up so we can. I'm mic'd. People need to hear.
Oh yeah.
Oh, should I stand?
Should we can even. I'll pass it around, whatever, right? How's that? That way I don't put people on the spot. Don't smash it. Don't get it.
Yeah. So I love watching your stuff. Comedy Central, YouTube. My friends back home, they adore you.
Cool.
Yeah, I just texted my friend and I showed him a picture. I sent a picture and then he said, I feel like a girl at a Justin Bieber concert.
Related to the picture.
How often do you get that comparison? How often do you get that comparison?
The beaver. Well, my hair, I think, doesn't he have short hair now? Mine's kind of longer. I'd be a very, I think I'm a better comparison to Blossom than Bieber. I think I look more like Blossom than Justin Bieber, but that's cool.
Okay. Yeah, so that's question one. Question two.
I see Yale hasn't changed since I
Guess I was just kind of wondering, so you started comedy. I kind of want to know, like, how did you start stand-up, and how do you think your comedy's kind of progressed over the years?
Cool, yeah. For me, it was an interesting thing coming to Yale. When I got here, and maybe you guys experienced this, it was maybe halfway through first year, you start finding out, like, hey, where's Maggie? Oh, you didn't know she's at the World Championships for fencing. Like, she goes away to, someone's like a figure skater, this person's like a Broadway actress, or whatever. I'm like, oh, I see. He's got his violin with his feet or something. Great talented classmates, I understand. So, there's a funny thing that happens where you get rewarded. We get rewarded, I think, for doing well, especially in high school. You kind of play the game. I felt like I did. I was president of this. I started organizations that I became president of. Whatever it was I did. Look impressive to somebody. But then you get out of school, it's very unstructured. So it was, for me personally, a time where I was kind of forced to think more about the content of what I was doing rather than the form of it. And by that I mean, rather than what it might look like, or the title of the thing that I made, or the achievement I got, or the medal, or the prize, whatever it was more like, what is the merit of the stuff that I'm making, which is hard. It's subjective. It's hard to quantify. I think that's what's partly nice about being in schools, that you can get an A or something, and then you say, okay, I'm good. I'm still good. I'm doing fine. I got an A. They think I'm good. But then you get out in the world and nobody cares. There's no committee that gives you an A. Like, hey, by the way, we've been watching you for a couple weeks. You got an A- right now. You're good. Okay, thank you. We'll see a discussion tonight. Okay. Maybe that's the therapist.
Oh, no.
So that's a long way to get to the answer, which was, when I was in law school and I was unhappy, I've talked about this before, I was forced to think about my life in very small increments, in just the day. Each day I wake up, I have the day, I go to sleep, then I get a reset the next day. I try to focus it less on my life and my achievements or what I might do someday, and more just like on that specific day. When I wake up, am I dreading what it is I have to do, or am I looking forward to it? And what I found in law school was, because it wasn't a good fit for me, I'm not pursuing law school obviously for everybody, for me it wasn't right. I was kind of dreading, like my second year there, waking up dreading, I'm thinking, I'm young, I shouldn't be dreading what I have to do today. This seems like a mistake, So I had to kind of leave the idea of being a lawyer or some sort of impressive person and more head towards, okay, what am I looking forward to today? Now, this can be a slippery slope. Heroin, for example, is an example. Surely it would be the criteria that I'm talking about, so there are caveats to what I'm talking about. Because what I'm saying is, I tried to learn how to make things more about process and less about results. And trust that over time, if I really enjoy the process and I get engaged in it, then the results that I want will simply be byproducts of that process. And the answer for me was stand-up. And without sounding cheesy, in Calhoun Dining Hall, I used to come to dinner. Does dinner still start at 5:30? 5:15?
5.
5, yeah. It started really early. And it went until 7:30, 7, whatever? Yeah. 7. So I think it was good to half an hour. I would come early and just hang out. Whoever was here, I'd sit at the table, have a conversation. If they finish their meal, I'd go for like a second round, and then I'd go to the next group. And for me, that was a really important part of college. I didn't even realize at the time, but I was doing bits. I was just joking around with my friends. I was kind of doing bits at the table. Now that I'm a comic, I understand, God bless you, that these people are not really just talking. I learned that I liked joking around with people. I felt valuable somehow. So when I just asked myself that question, what makes me feel valuable? what do I look forward to doing? Like, that was the answer, and I realized I gotta just stand up. I gotta try this because I'm gonna regret it if I don't. And that got me into it. And then it was the reality of I gotta get a job, I gotta pay my bills, do the open mics at like 1 in the morning, all that kind of stuff. But once I felt like I was passionate about what I was going after, of course none of that mattered. It was really a reciprocal of the other stuff, which was I'm in the White House, and it just isn't clicking for me. But my mom's impressed, and her friends, and everybody, you know, and I have cool pictures or something of me walking around the White House, whatever. Anyway, my answers tend to be long and random, so I'm just going to stop talking about it. I hope that's the kind of answer.
All right. Me?
By the way, whoever's videotaping this, I'd appreciate if you edit out when I stumble or say, you can make me look embarrassed. You can get a couple angles or a couple texts so that you can continue to edit.
All right. I follow you on Twitter. It's really good. I like to think comparing people to phones because we're both cordless, but we're not always. But also, there was some other really good observations, like the batteries, and like they were going to have a lot more names with vitamins, a lot more vitamins than expected. I'm wondering how you get yourself into situations where you can observe sort of the mundane funny things. And the other thing, the second thing.
Did you write your questions on your phone?
Yeah.
Nice.
You have
your own teleprompter. Basically, you're doing that.
I just want to make sure I don't accidentally talk to the phone out the microphone. Okay. Anyway, the other thing is like, what do you think separates like a laugh from a groan sometimes? like I try to write one-liners sometimes, but I realize like you have the one about I don't know this. I saw the thing wasn't exit, and like I went in and said like you're in a bot.
Right.
Or no,
exit only.
Yeah. And the other one about like the revolving door, like you go, well, like how do you decide when you're gonna make that twist in the joke? How do you decide that it's gonna be something that's gonna be like people are laughing? Do you think it has to do with like human interest, like it's more interesting, or is it the level of the surprise, or what do you think is really
very specific formula that I choose not to tell anyone. What I found over the years, what was the first question?
It was about getting yourself into situations.
Oh, right, okay, cool. Alright, cool. So, I moved to New York, so that was a very lucky thing for me because New York is clearly very much a walking city. And you can take the subway, you can take cabs, you can run from people depending on the situation. All kinds of ways to get around. And what I found there was that I really took to taking walks. I love taking walks with a notebook. I always have some sort of notebook with me. And I just like to look, I like to be an observer. I like being anonymous and just being kind of a pair of eyes, a pair of ears, and just to go and kind of gather content. When I stopped worrying about how smart or good or important the things that I was writing down were, I found that I had many more things to write down. And then later I could go back and be really mean to myself and critical and say, that's stupid, that's embarrassing, you suck, don't say that to anybody. I could grow my own stuff, all that kind of stuff. So, but I did find that I have to write down the crappy stuff, or I don't get to the good stuff, which is a weird thing to me. I can't think of an idea and say, okay, that one sucks, don't write that down, that counts as one. That one sucks. I can't just wait for what I think are the best ideas and then have some sort of a notebook that's like Ralph Waldo Emerson's essays. It's very well structured. Very good. I have to write really stupid things and then just sift through them. And that's fine. Once I figured out that's my modus operandi or whatever, that works for me. And it's usually 1 out of every 15 or something might be good. But I have to write down 14 crappy ideas to get to the 15th one. Now, the second part is groans or laughs. I've performed thousands of times now. I started in '97. I've been on stage, I don't know how many times, but I performed around the States. I went to Scotland, Ireland, I've been in Australia. That's pretty much it. Maybe Canada. Places where people speak English, but not in South Africa, basically. It's a primary language. I used to speak English everywhere. What I found over the years was I don't know. I just will never know. The audience is the only thing that can tell me. So it's very humbling and somewhat liberating because I can't figure it out. The best I can do is perform as much as possible, be honest with what I think is funny, say it out loud, and then just take the pain. Like take the groans, take the bombs, take all that stuff and just pay attention. One of my favorite quotes is from Woody Allen. He says, "The audience teaches you how you're funny." And I think that's such a good, succinct observation, which is just if you pay attention to your audience, then they guide you. They just tell you, no, 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 yes, 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 don't do this. You know, I think of dirty jokes sometimes. I tell a dirty joke and the audience just looks at me like I'm Justin Bieber. They look at me like they don't want that from me. People don't want dirty jokes. I get it. So I've learned, like, don't do dirty jokes. They don't that's not my natural proclivity anyway, but still, I've learned, okay, I'm not going to probably have an HBO special with really dirty stuff. And likewise with some of the other stuff on the other end of it that might be a little nerdier or esoteric that I think is really funny. I'll say it once to an audience and just blank stares. And I'm like, you know what? Those people were stupid. Let me try this. I'll go to the next audience and be like, wow, they're stupid too. Okay. And eventually I realize, I'm stupid. Nobody likes this but me. This is just me that's to stay in the notebook. So, over time, I find that the answer is probabilistic. It's just that I have nothing that works all the time. I have things that work 90%, I have things that work 50%. The larger the sample size, you know, the greater the confidence I can have, I guess. The confidence interval. This guy's sorry. Once I say confidence interval, he's like, okay. You know what I mean? So I guess what I'm saying is just experience, the short answer. Okay, next. Anybody?
So I know that you're working on a lot of different things right now, and I was just kind of wondering now that you have this like super awesome fun job, like what your favorite part about it is. Because you know you do important things, you do stand up, you do your movies. What's the best part?
That's a nice question. Makes me appreciate my job more than I do. I don't think of it that way. I always think of it sadly. There's always the dangling carrot. I always feel like I'm trying to catch up with something I'm supposed to be doing or I'm supposed to be better at or something. You know, when I can get away from that, I think what I enjoy the most is the idea that when I wake up each day, I have a chance to maybe come up with the best joke I ever came up with, or maybe I have a cool movie idea today or something, or I might think of a new ending for some other bit I did. Or I could get an email from somebody. Every now and then I get an email from somebody who says, hey, you know, crazy stuff like my husband's in Afghanistan and he's a fan of your stand. Oh, this is crazy, really? And, you know, it kind of touches you, that kind of stuff. But I think in the balance, it's generally the feeling that I made choices that were not easy, but now I get to reap some of the benefits of those choices. Even if I don't get to be some superstar or some big thing, that in the time that I've had, I kind of redirected myself enough that I don't feel dread so much. You know what I mean? It's a weird thing. I'm guessing and I'm hoping most of you don't feel dread when you're here. You get to be at Yale, so that's such a privilege. And for me, it's a great time. But it's more like kind of that real world stuff when I was struggling a little bit and wasn't sure what I was doing with myself. That I kind of wrenched myself out of that somehow and found a place where, you know, I found people I can really relate to. And again, I just feel kind of valuable. I feel validated in some way. I love hanging out with comedians. You know, my family, God bless them, I'm different than a lot of people in my family, which maybe we all are, but I often feel, I thought of a story that's kind of based on this. If you were like 30 years old and somebody came up to you just in the course of the day and said, excuse me, are you Demetri? I said, yes, I am. Can you come with us? What's going on? Don't worry about it, just come with us. And I go with them and they bring me in a room and they say, so listen, you know, you're not from here. What are you talking about? You're not a person. Yes, I am. What do you mean? You're not a human being. You're an alien. You're from another place. You're fucking with me, right? Come on. No, didn't you often feel kind of weird and like that maybe you were adopted, like you didn't really go with your family and stuff? Like definitely, yeah, from Jersey Shore, right? There's a reason you're from a very far away place. Like all my memories are like we implanted those. Like it's all bullshit. Like, you know? Obviously not a well fleshed out story yet. The point is stay in school. My point is like you forget how much freedom you do have and how much privilege and opportunity we all have. We're told that in fancy speeches and commencement and when we get here and at dinners and things. But when you're really kind of out there, it's funny how much of it's on you. You know what I mean? If you can be untethered, then it's really about asking hard questions. I think it's saying like, you know, where do I feel like I belong? Like, where do I feel like I get along with people? Where do I not feel like I'm a dork? You know what I mean? Where do I feel like I don't have to apologize for myself or something? Those are like such important questions to feel like your career, almost first, because that's your day-to-day life. And because my answers to those questions are better now than they were like 10 years ago, that's what